Welcome to the SpaHive Podcast. We're your hosts, Julie Pankey
and MaryAnn Sessine, spa leaders, business strategists, and business besties who are pulling back the curtain on what it actually takes to grow a business and a life you don't secretly want to escape from.
This is where leadership meets honesty, where revenue meets relationships, and where we talk about the things no one puts on Instagram.
So, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a high achiever who's building something meaningful, but also navigating team dynamics, burnout, boundaries, and big goals, you're in the right place.
No highlight reels, no sugarcoating, just real conversations, practical strategy, and a little laughter along the way. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to the SpaHive Podcast, where I'm here with my business bestie, MaryAnn. Good morning, MaryAnn.
Good morning, Julie. Good morning to our listeners. How
are
are you? That's my line. You forgot. Julie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm back in Maine.
Womp womp. Just joking.
Sort of a womp womp yesterday. So I don't know if this is possible. I should research it. But 40 degrees in Maine feels colder than 40 degrees in South Carolina. I'm just saying.
I think it's because, well, it probably is a thing because I bet even 40 degrees in South Carolina, you have more humidity in the air. Mm-hmm. It's not as dry. And so I do think that feels different. And also it might just be in your head a little bit too, though.
Oh, and it was so windy. Cold.
Well, yeah, that'll do it.
And windy. So I didn't wear a coat when I went out, and I was very cold, and decided that as much as I love Maine, I wished I was not here right now.
Well, that's very depressing. You got to turn that frown upside down. Yeah, it is for today's weather recap, right? I feel like we always talk about the weather.
I know. Well, I really do feel like, and I think maybe this even fits into the episode that we're talking about, but, weather does play into, our, mood and how we feel, unless you're a, happy person all the time, then we want to know your secret.
Well, so I know one of those people, and that's my sister, Kim. She is really, honestly, a happy person all the time. I don't know. We have the same parents, but I don't know how that happens. But she loves a cloudy, rainy day. Like, the more cloud coverage, the happier she is. And I don't understand it because I'm the opposite.
Well, is she grumpy in the, sunny, hot, and humid, or not either?
Well, actually, yes. Yes, she is. So I take it all back because she does not like the sun.
And I'm like, give me the sun. I'm like a cat. I just want to, sit in that ray of sunlight shining in my window.
Yeah, I like the sun. The sun doesn't really like me, but I do like the sun. My only problem I get is when it gets so humid here, like when we're talking August, late July, and it is like an inferno outside, like a swampy inferno.
Right.
Then I start to change my tune a little bit. But yeah, I do enjoy the sun more, definitely more than clouds.
Yeah. So
quick question before we start with our topic, Julie. Did you see one of our reels went viral, essentially?
Well, I saw the text that you sent me this morning.
Yes. So friends, if you're not following us on Instagram, really it's Julie Pankey. If you're not following Julie Pankey on Instagram, head on over to Instagram, type in Julie Pankey, and you will find her. And sometimes you'll find me on there too. I'm more behind the scenes. But I created this super cute reel the other day, and we got 100% more views than we normally do. So that made me really happy.
So what we need to really figure out, to be able to share it even with our audience is, when we get a lot more views or we get a lot of views, say we're getting 200, 300, whatever views, 500, this one had 1900, which might was there music?
Yeah, of course. It was so cute.
So it might have to do with the music. And we did get 43 likes, which is a good amount of likes because sometimes we get, 100, 150. I'm just looking now, 500 views, but then like 8 likes. Come on, like us, people. But then how do you transition that into like more followers? How do we create more content that you find useful and want to follow? So we're going to continue to crack that code. And when we do, we'll share it with you for your own social media.
Yes. But that has nothing to do with our topic today, but I was very excited about it. So, Julie, what are we talking about today? Tell.
Today, we're talking about our nervous system. Yeah, I could use that today. Nervous system CEOs, why your energy runs your business. This is when we go all in, huh, Marianne?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that moment. You think about the moment. I feel like I'm having one right now that happens when, like, you run your business and, you're smiling and you're greeting the team and you're happy go lucky. Everything feels good. You're making decisions, acting like everything is fine, right? Like going about your day because you're on autopilot. And a lot of us learn how to be on autopilot when we, do what we do, whether it's, mommying, whether it's running a business, whether it's, being a spouse. But inside, do you ever feel like a little bit on the edge?
Is that a rhetorical question? Because I feel like that constantly. So, your nervous system, let's lay it out there, right? Your nervous system is basically your body's command center. It's constantly scanning our environment, asking one question: am I safe or am I under threat? Right? When your nervous system feels safe and regulated, which is what we want and what we love, you can think clearly, communicate well, and make thoughtful decisions. When it senses stress, it shifts into survival mode, fight or flight or freeze, and that's when we start reacting instead of leading.
Yes. And the funny thing is that nobody knows, right? Nobody always, like, it's hard for people to know unless they really know you. It's like, we're ducks on the pond, and I say this all the time. We look like we're all cool and calm and fluttering away on the water, but underneath the ducks, right, feet are paddling, paddling, paddling as quick as they can just
Mhm.
to stay above water. And I know I realized a few years ago um that just during a normal day, sometimes I would think in my head, could you possibly have one more question? Like, is that possible? And nothing like dramatic happens. There's no crisis, no big disaster. But I noticed I'd be like holding my breath, right, while answering my emails.
Yes. Yeah.
Like my shoulders, right, permanently felt like they were sort of attached to my ears a little bit.
Well, right. When we're talking about our nervous system being shot, it goes beyond just being stressed out, right? There's a whole science behind it. And it is pretty amazing. And so I encourage listeners to kind of do some of their own research because we are not scientists.
No.
Surprisingly, I know everyone thought we were scientists, but we're not scientists and we're not nervous system experts. But we do know a thing or two about your nervous system being shot, what burnout is, and when you're just stressed. So, when we're talking about our nervous system being shot, it's more than just being stressed out. Some of the signs that are a little bit more quieter that maybe don't realize is, you feel that your shoulders never leave your ears, just like you were saying, Julie. Like your shoulders are always on edge, always hunched up. I always feel like that, honestly. And sometimes I have to mentally tell myself, like, I'll be on the couch watching a show and my shoulders are up on my ears. And I'll
Mhm,
have to
mhm.
tell myself, okay, MaryAnn, nothing is coming to get you right now. Like, put your shoulders down, take a deep breath, and relax a bit. Another sign is, when you're snapping internally, but still smiling. So, kind of what you were just saying, right? Like, could these people ask me one more flippant question? Is
Right.
it possible? And usually the answer is yes, they can. They will
Mhm.
find another question.
And I think that, like leaders, so we always say, it trickles down from the top. And I was just talking about this yesterday in a meeting that, we take the lead from, senior leadership in whatever business we're in, right? It trickles down from the top if you're a mommy, it trickles down from the top if you're a dog walker, it trickles down from the top, when you're volunteering and maybe you're in charge of something, and so it affects everyone around you. And that's what we have to remember is that it's kind of like you're the emotional thermostat in the room. And so if you're calm, and I know this for sure as a leader, right? If I'm wired tight, the energy of whatever, business atmosphere we're in right now changes.
Absolutely.
At
Oh,
home too.
oh yeah.
Gary will sometimes say, like, I don't know what's up with this energy that you've got going on right now.
Does he actually say this energy? Because I don't feel like that comes out of like Gary Pankey's mouth.
No, he does now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Gary's absorbed he's what is the word? He's absorbed enough of our world
Yeah.
that he is like, I don't know what's happening with this right now.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's completely true, right? Like your tone can set the whole day and in business and in life, in your home life. And sometimes that's really empowering to know because you're like, okay, if I make myself better, then it is a trickle down effect. Other times it can feel like a big burden, right? Because you're like, oh, I always have to, set the house right, or I always have to walk in with a happy face. And so it's kind of how you think about it, right? It's your mentality. You can either think of it as empowering or you can think of it as, a burden on how you have to show up every day.
Right. And I think that, and I will say, because since I've had my Aura ring, so I got that, remember,
Jeez.
for my birthday, which Gary wonders if it's the worst gift he's ever given me.
Ha ha, that's funny.
But, I put a lot of my data into my chat GPT so I can analyze the data because, here we're all about the data. And constantly my chat GPT says the what's off with my Aura ring is from my nervous system always being on, not always being in some sort of flight or fight, always feeling like, the second shoe is going to drop, like being worried about what could go wrong instead of, just being in the moment of what is going right. And so I've
Yeah.
worked on it a lot. That's something I'm more in tune with. And I will tell you right now, last night, that was the same, like your nervous system, didn't shut off.
Yeah, it's when it's still stuck on like alert mode, right? That's another sign that your nervous system might be out of whack is that you're exhausted, but your brain won't shut off. You're wired but tired. You might have difficulty falling asleep. You're thinking about work at night or feeling restless, even when sitting down. And I feel like feeling restless while sitting down, I feel like I am starting to struggle with because I feel like I'm like, "Oh, I should." Maybe I'm sitting down, but I'm like, "Okay, I should take advantage of this pocket of time I'm sitting down. I should be on my computer working on something, or I should be, if it's not work, right? I'm like, I need to be researching summer camps, or I maybe need to get my grocery order in, or I need to look this up, right?" Which is so funny because one of my sisters, my oldest sister, when she was in the throes of having really young kids, she had like 4 kids in the matter of like, I don't know, 3 minutes. I don't know how that math works, but her kids are very close together in age. And so when she was in that kind of young child state, I remember I would go over to her house because she is, a good few years older than I am. I would go over to her house and she would always be buzzing around, like buzzing around.
Mhm.
And not necessarily like even if the kids were asleep or the kids were fine, right? But like always restless. And
Yes.
so I'm noticing I am that way, but I still might be sitting down, but I'm like, I need to still be doing something productive. Like I'm
Y
still wired. So I find that similarity funny because looking back at it, when I would visit her, I would be like, "Oh my god, she's a crazy person. Like just freaking
Sit
sit
down.
down." Yeah.
Right. No, my mom and so it's funny, my mom will say that to me. So, like, when we left for South Carolina, all the beds had to be changed and remade. Everything needed to be left perfectly clean so that when we walked in, there was nothing for us to do, right? So we walked
Yeah.
in. And so we walk in and my mom's like, "Wow, this is like walking into like a magazine house." She's like, "It's so clean, it's so neat." And I was like, "Well, doesn't it feel good to crawl into a clean bed after a 16-hour drive?" And she's like, "Yeah, yes, it does." But then, Gary starts bringing in the stuff, and I'm like, "Oh my god, there's stuff everywhere." So it's like 1:30 a.m.
Oh
and
god.
I have a Clorox wipe, and I'm like wiping down the counters, and my mom's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "There is stuff everywhere now." And, I maybe we had a snack, I don't know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I just want to wipe down before I go to bed and I'm gonna unpack this one bag. And she's like, I don't know where you came from. But I will tell you that as a kid, we used to joke how crazy my mother was because she would mop her way out of the house when we
Oh,
went away.
I mean,
So I'm a product of where I
yeah.
came.
Well, she was probably like, this is the only time, right, where all these
Right,
muddy little feet, right, are out of this dang house. But
right,
it is so funny, like, yeah, as you look back on it, and she probably would say, like, at this point, oh, maybe I wouldn't have made such a big deal about mopping myself out of the house, right?
right,
Because,
right. I'm like,
yeah, it's a
Mom, do you remember when you used to um iron the sheets?
boy.
Like, come on now, let's not talk crazy here.
Yeah,
I mean, but
right?
another thing is like when small issues suddenly feel overwhelming, and this happens to me,
Mhm.
sometimes, like when there's like a little change of something, I am like, okay, this is my day, this is what we're doing, we're and then something pops up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna crash. The world is coming to an end. I did not plan to do this today, or something about our meal, like I meal prep. And the other day, I forgot to take out the primary thing that I was meal prepping, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna cook? There's nothing to eat." And I like spiral, and my mom will say, and it's funny how now at 81, right, she says like, It's not that big of a deal. Order pizza.
Yeah, right?
And I'm like, I don't want pizza again.
But I can't eat pizza. It'll set me back, or then I'll have a downward spiral of unhealthy habits. La, la, la,
Exactly, right. And so, one little thing, like a small problem, like occupies such a big space in your brain sometimes.
Yeah.
But then other times, no. I'm like, it's, oh, no, no problem. Go with the flow. No biggie. And I had that happen right before we recorded, right? Got a
Mhm.
text about something and I'm like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
put so much effort into choreographing this thing at, the spa. And a minor bump in the road popped up, which was handled beautifully by, one of our leadership team. However, I'm still thinking about it now, like, we put so much effort into this, and then who's the person that gave us the wrong information,
Right.
and it's not going to be perfect. But hey, let's be honest, life's not perfect, right?
Well, obviously, no, it is not. I think the one of the big things when it comes to having your nervous system shot, and when you're especially either an entrepreneur or a leader, is that, stress happens, but it reduces your brain's capacity for executive thinking, right? So it's going to stop the needle from moving forward. And that can be really a problem. I mean, we understand, like when it comes to business, I think there are different aspects where Julie's a perfectionist on, and there's different aspects where I'm a perfectionist on. And so when things go awry, yeah, you spiral a little bit. But the whole point of this is we want to try to help you get your nervous system more regulated, right? So you can stress, right? But how are we going to handle this? We can't always be in this constant state of like hyper stress, hyper aware of everything, and always waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Let's talk a little bit about the vagus nerve before we end.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So one of the biggest players in the system is called your vagus nerve. It's the main communication line between your brain and your body, running from your brain all the way down your heart, your lungs, digestive system. Its job is to move your body back into a calm, regulated state, which we love. When the vagus nerve is working well, it signals your body that you are safe, your breathing slows, your muscles relax, and your brain can think clearly again, which we love. But when we're constantly rushing, stressed, or overwhelmed, which happens a lot, especially if you're running a business or you have a busy family or you walk a lot of dogs, I don't know, that system gets stuck in a stress mode. That's when you start to feel things like shoulder tension, snapping internally but holding it in, and that wired but tired feeling. Now, the thing is how we were mentioning it earlier, is the interesting part is your nervous system doesn't just affect you. It affects your entire team and your family in many ways. The leader always becomes the emotional thermostat of the workplace.
We have created, as spa people, a really fantastic vagus nerve reset service in one of the spas that I'm working with. And it's an 80-minute service. And I will tell you that people now, post COVID, are a little bit more into wellness and taking care of themselves. So I feel like pre-COVID, people would be like, Vegas nerve, what the heck are you doing in this service, right? What kind of woo-woo, touchy-feely stuff is this? But now people have been reading about the vagus nerve. This is a little bit more mainstream, especially for people that are interested in like regulating their nervous system, health and wellness. So we're not sponsored by Osea. They are a long favorite brand of ours. I think you can get Osea at, I don't know, Sephora maybe,
Yeah, I think
Ulta.
you can.
Um but I'm on their website right now, and their Vegas Nerve travel set is on sale for $58. And it's a three-piece travel set. And these are products that we actually use in the spa for the vagus nerve service in combination, obviously, with a massage. So I know that they also do have like a vagus nerve healing book, but you can get anything online, right? So go online, ask your chat GPT how to use products to, work and stimulate your vagus nerve, for, a self home care massage. And again, we're not sponsored, but those are some products that could help you in your life. It's great for nighttime, bedtime. That's a great time to, kind of work on things.
Yeah, I love that. I do actually want to check that out myself. As I was doing more research for this podcast, I know I was texting you little questions, Julie, about the vagus nerve. So we will put that in our show notes. But how about we leave our listeners with some easy ways to regulate your vagus nerve? So these ways could go hand in hand with your whatever product you're trying to use too. But these are some ways that you can start doing today.
Yeah. Like, how about just take a breath?
Are you telling me right now to take a breath?
No, I was just saying that as a quick tip. Sometimes we just simply need to take a breath.
I see. I see. Yes, take a breath. Now, the trick with this is your exhale needs to be longer than your inhale. So, for example, you inhale for 4 seconds, you exhale for 6 to 8 seconds. Again, your exhale needs to be longer than your inhale. Long exhales signal the body that it is safe and starts to activate the vagus nerve.
hmm
So
And
that's pretty easy.
I'm not sure if this is scientific, but what I believe is breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth.
I mean, we are scientists, so it could be scientific. I'm not sure. Another quick tip to regulate that vagus nerve. This one just helps regulate everything in your life, but go for
Totally.
a 10 to 15-minute walk. This starts to shift your body out of that fight or flight mode. The next tip is an interesting one: cold water on your face.
I never do that.
I never do that either, but cold exposure stimulates the vagus nerve. I wonder if also that goes hand in hand with some of that cold therapy, right? But we have our differencing of opinion on plunge pools and such things. But a simple way to do this, so you don't need to go out and plunge, but a simple way to do this is to splash cold water on your face. Finish your shower with 10 to 20 seconds of cold water.
I have done that. I don't like it though.
I'm not sure about this one. Maybe I will try it. Maybe we
Let's try it.
need to do a challenge of 5 days of finishing with a cold shot in our shower. Another tip, I love this one, is humming or singing. The vagus nerve runs through the throat and vocal cords, so vibration helps stimulate it.
Hmm.
That's an interesting one. So go ahead and put on those favorite tunes. Julie, you can listen to your Ryan Seacrest shows you love so much and sing along.
I love to sing along. That's my most fun thing to do on our road trip. I sing and Gary and Carol listen.
Last that we're going to leave you with is to connect with someone safe. So, human connection is one of the most powerful nervous system regulators. Talking with a trusted friend, laughing with your team, hugging someone you trust. Your nervous system relaxes when it senses social safety. And I know that's not easy for everyone. But again, try to get out there, right? And I think this can even go further in, making that phone call to a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Like, okay, maybe you're in a spot in your life where you've moved away,
Uh-huh.
or, you're on a temporary job somewhere, right? Maybe you're a travel nurse. And you might not have those close friends with you. So pick up that phone, make a call and, chat with someone that, you actually enjoy talking to. Regulating your nervous system doesn't have to be complicated. You can do easy things that will help you kind of get that vagus nerve back in check. Again, look it up for yourself. It's pretty fascinating. I think it's pretty empowering. And calm is really a revenue strategy.
It really is because, like we said, it trickles down from the top. People, whether it's your child, your children, maybe you're a caregiver for an aging parent, you're a dog walker, or, you're a CEO and, business leader. And it all trickles down from the top. It comes from your energy. And there's some of these little subtle things. And I think we live in a world right now that it's a lot of people are running with their nervous system turned on all the time. And that's something that we need to get into check, right? Because, it will eventually, like we said, cause, burnout, exhaustion. So it's the little tweaks. We're not saying make a big life change, but some of these little tweaks that we shared with you that'll help you manage life and work a little bit better. So we're here to help you navigate life and business and our world just a tiny bit better. So thanks for joining us again here today, live in the SpaHive with my business bestie, MaryAnn. Thanks, MaryAnn.
Thanks, Julie. Have a wonderful day. Bye, listeners. Bye, Julie.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today in the SpaHive.
If this episode sparked an idea, made you think differently, or just made you feel a little less alone in business or life, share it with someone who might need it too.
Don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss a conversation.
And check out the show notes for links, resources, and ways to stay connected with us, including the Spa 101 course taught by our very own Julie Pankey.
We're so grateful you're part of this community.
And we'll see you next time.